Nancy Pelosi has now officially called for articles of impeachment to be filed against Trump. She went on CNN to talk about this. Now, the specific articles of impeachment, we don't know what they are yet. Obviously, when we do know what they are, I'll discuss them on the show. She was asked here on CNN after this announcement why she didn't want to impeach Bush, and her response is telling.
Speaker Pelosi, you resisted calls for the impeachment of President Bush in 2006 and President Trump following the Mueller report earlier this year. This time is different. Why did you oppose impeachment in the past? And what is your obligation to protect our democracy from the actions of our president now?
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up the question about, because when I became Speaker the first time, there was overwhelming call for me to impeach President Bush on the strength of the war in Iraq, which I vehemently opposed. And I have said it other places. That was my wheelhouse. I was intelligence. I was the ranking member on the Intelligence Committee, even before I became part of the leadership of Gang of Four. So I knew there were no nuclear weapons in Iraq. It just wasn't there. They had to show us. They had to show the Gang of Four all the intelligence they had. The intelligence did not show that was the case. So I knew it was a misrepresentation to the public. But having said that, it was in my view, not a grounds for impeachment.
Lying the country into an illegal, unconstitutional, offensive war against a country that didn't attack us is not impeachable, but making a phone call to a foreign president, trying to get dirt on your political opponent, and holding up military aid to achieve that dirt, that is impeachable. Really sit on that for a second, man. Let that marinate in your brain for a second. Lying the country into an illegal and offensive war, which, by the way, ended up killing minimum 200,000 civilians. Some of the estimates are over 1 million. Lying the country into an illegal and offensive war, and by the way, ordering torture to cover it up. That's not impeachable. It is impeachable to make a phone call, getting dirt on your political opponent, and withholding military aid to try to achieve that dirt. I tell you all the time their moral compass is broken, and I don't know of a better example of it than this. I don't know of a better example. So, really, withholding military aid to Ukraine and exposing another member of the club, getting dirt on another elitist, that's the real crime. Whoa, 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 whoa. You don't go after our own. You want to bomb as many poor and innocent brown kids as you want? I'm not going to say anything. The second you try to go after one of our own in the club, now we're coming for you. Doesn't that say it all about Nancy Pelosi? There is no moral core there. It really is stunning that she would just say this out loud. Now, I will say that had they impeached Bush, you know who you got? Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney would then become president. And in my opinion, there's a debate as to whether Trump or Pence is worse. There is no debate in my mind as to whether Bush or Dick Cheney is worse. We know from all the leaks that we've gotten from the Bush administration that Cheney was indeed worse than Bush. So you could say for strategic reasons impeaching him doesn't make sense. I understand that argument and sympathize with that argument. But I will say this. To me, there's a much stronger argument that the way in which Bush violated the Constitution and did high crimes and misdemeanors by waging an illegal war, that is a case that is so much more potent and poignant that you could absolutely win that battle in the court of public opinion, even though Bush would be acquitted in the Senate. Even though Bush would win out in the Senate, even if he was successfully impeached in the House, there's a case to be made that the facts that were uncovered were so damning as on his character that it would overwhelmingly help the Democratic Party in the next elections. There is a case for that. Now, it's funny enough because in the case for Trump, I lean towards believing that the exact opposite is true. That their case on the Ukrainian phone call and the withholding the aid and the getting dirt on Biden, that the Democrats' case there is so weak that even if it gets through the House, which is very likely that the impeachment gets through the House and he's impeached, that he's acquitted in the Senate, it dies in the Senate, and then I don't think that the arguments the Democrats have been making all along are so potent and poignant that it hurts Trump. I fear, and I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I fear that it might actually help Trump. Because I think his counter-argument lands better with the public than their argument against him does. Their argument against him is, oh my God, you made a naughty phone call, and how dare you withhold the aid from Ukraine, and how dare you go after another member of the club, Biden. And his response is, they're corrupt, so of course I'm going to go after him. At first their argument was, no, I didn't do that, no quid pro quo. That was always a dumb argument for them to take that, because obviously he did it. But then they moved the goalpost to, no, he's corrupt, and that's why I'm doing it. That would have been a better argument to use all along. Now they haven't. They've been tripping over themselves a little bit. And it's possible that I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And the Democrats just repeatedly hitting him, even though the content isn't that great. That's enough to damage Trump. I hope that's true. But I fear that it could help Trump when he gets acquitted, because then he's going to go around bragging. And he's going to, witch hunt, another hoax, just like the Mueller report. And the Teflon Don narrative will be stronger than ever. So, but putting aside all the strategic conversation, because that's what that is, the moral conversation, the ethical conversation is very clear-cut in my mind. And that is, what would you rather impeach on principle? Would you rather impeach the illegal offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, that killed minimum 200,000 civilians, and had torture implemented as a result of it? Or would you rather impeach over withholding Ukrainian aid and trying to get dirt on your political opponent? To me, that's a no-brainer, and if you're struggling with that, I'm sorry, I think you're just a hack. I do. I think you're a partisan hack if you struggle with that. But I think that this clip really highlights what so many on the left of us... I can't talk today. What so many of us on the left... I'm dyslexic today. What so many of us on the left have despised about politics for so long, and particularly about democratic politics, is that at the core of our leadership, it's just this amoral at best, immoral at worst, vacuous, vapid, non-leadership, non-direction that feels so deeply unserious and offended at all the wrong things and not offended by the things they should be offended by. So it's really gross. I mean, she's flat out saying it there. Illegally lying us into an offensive war is not impeachable. That's just a disagreement. But getting dirt on somebody else in the club and withholding aid to do so, that's the real crime. That's the real problem. Oh, man. Ugh, she's got to go. She's got to step down. We need a new Speaker of the House. I don't care who it is, Barbara Lee, Pramila Jayapal, somebody who's at least nominally on the left, to the left of Pelosi. I mean, Ro Khanna, somebody, but she cannot be the leader because she's not a political mastermind. She's not a genius with this stuff. She is, she's gone all in on the weakest anti-Trump plays, and obviously there's no moral core there, and that's a terrifying thing to witness.